video, already she would have added it. And she would have seen also.
Their name only first.
And then your name, correct.
So good afternoon to all. So in the last class we discussed about first we have discussed about the operational attributes and non-operational attributes. Okay. So now we are going to discuss about the product life cycle. So how the product will be developed and what are the different stages of product you are going to have, different stages of product life cycle you are going to have. So how that particular product is being developed from the scratch. Okay. So how so it's similar to your software development life cycle. Okay. So in your software development life cycle, as you have seen that they are going to have several stages which have been already been studied. Similar to that one, you are going to have to develop the product here. So if you take that product, this is nothing but the embedded product. So even the embedded product will be having its own product life cycle. Okay. So it's the product life cycle starts with the basics of your design and development phase. Okay. So now here, so when you are going to have the product life cycle here, so the prototyping first you have to do the prototyping because since we are not developed any of the prototype or any of the product, first I need to do the prototyping. Prototyping is nothing but what? So it's an outlier. So it's simple in the simple product. If you take simple components are configured together, and they are going to make that particular one. So in the prototyping, they are going to make use of simple components, and with the help of the simple components, they are going to build the product, and they are going to world that one. So they are going to build the product, and they are going to build the product. So now, they are different. So that if it is going to take the actual design development of the activities carried out during this particular phase. So now in the design and development phase, so you can see that it's going to have only the investment. Okay, so you cannot expect the return. So here no returns will be there, only investment. Why it is only investment, no returns? Can anyone tell? Why it is only investment, no returns will be there at this particular phase in the design and development? Because when you start building a product, we don't know whether the particular product is going to work or not. Okay, so whether it is going to work or not, we don't know. And then we don't know that whether that particular output, what we need to deserve, whether we are going to get that particular output or not. So when you are going to have that particular scenario, what will happen? Just we are investing the amount on that one. So we don't have any returns on that one. So now only we will get the returns only when it hits the market. Only when it hits the market, we come to know that whether that particular product is good or not. So that is nothing but what? When it is hitting the market is nothing but what? Whether it is going to, when the product is ready to sell. So you can see it here. Once the product is ready to sell, it is introduced the product. So that particular stage is called as production stage. Okay. So that means the second stage which you are going to have is the production stage. Because we don't know that in the initially whether my product will be accepted by many people or not. Okay, so whether it is accepted, because the new product when it comes to the market, everyone will be every investor or every buyer is going to have some challenge that whether this particular product is going to be useful for me or not, whether if I take that particular product, whether it will be benefit for me or not. So that I have to look into that one. Okay, so this particular stage is known as the product introduction stage. Okay, so product introduction stage which you are going to have. So when you are going to have the product introduction stage, which you are going to have, so you're going to have the product introduction stage. So now, when you take this particular product introduction stage, whenever a new product is coming into the market, what you are going to have? So obviously, the sales will be less for the first few months. Okay, for the few period. Okay, so if you take the initially what we are going to have, so in the initial period, if you take, so in the initial period, what will happen? The sale will be less. Okay, the sales what you are going to have, the sales will be less. Okay, so now when you are going to have the sales will be less, what will happen? Obviously, the product cost will be more. Okay, the product cost will be more. Now, once the customer is satisfied, because when I'm building the product, who is the buyer? Finally, the customer is the buyer. So first I have to satisfy the customer, right? Whenever I am developed the product, that particular product has to be satisfied by the customer. That particular, it should satisfy the customer need. So if that particular product is not satisfying the customer need, then what it is going to happen? So then that particular product is going to fail in the market. It is not going to generate the revenue in the market. Okay. So that particular period where it is going to generate the revenue. So that is called as growth phase. So in the growth phase, initially what will happen? So the revenue will be less. Okay, in the growth phase, basically it will be having the revenue. It will be less. So since it is the first product, what will happen? So since I'm developing the first product of that particular kind, since I have developed the first product of that particular kind, what is the advantage? So this new product which is hit at the market, it's a new product which is hit at the market, and it's a there is no competition for that one. Since there is no competition, what will happen? So everyone wants to experience the, so initially cost will be high at that time. So initially cost will be high. So initially cost will be high. Okay, so the cost will be high in this particular period. So you are going to have the growth phase. So in this particular period, you are going to have the growth phase, which you are going to have. So this is a period where the product grabs high market share. That means, so if there is no competitor, obviously what will happen? Obviously the product is going to hit if it is a good brand. So if it is not a good one, then obviously the product is going to fail. And whatever the money you have invested in your design and development, so it's going to go waste itself. So that is the phase where your revenue will be low. So since there is no much competition, as the period increases, your sales will also get increased, and also the revenue will also get increased in a period of time. So next in the maturity phase. So the next phase which you are going to have is a maturity phase of your growth phase. So in the maturity phase, what will happen? So once the growth is over, once the customer is satisfied, so in the maturity phase, what will happen? So in the maturity phase, the customer is satisfied here. So if you have the customer is satisfied here. So now once the customer is satisfied, so once the customer is satisfied, so what will happen? So the growth, the sales will be more. The customer is satisfied, sales is more. So that is sales is more means what? Growth of my product is more. And at some point of time, so it will be steady, and as the growth increases, your revenue also increases. Okay, so as the growth increases, the revenue also increases. So and it will reach its peak. The revenue will reach its peak. Okay, so the last stage which you are going to have is product retirement stage. So now when you are going to have this particular, so when you are going to have this particular phase is, so when you are going to have this particular phase, that is a product retirement phase. So now when you are going to have, so I have developed the product, right? So I have developed the product. For example, if we take the TV, which is a older one. Okay. So in the older one, you are going to make use of TV tubes. Okay. So next it came the LCD TV. So next it came the LED TV, for example. So even if you have TV tech, if TV is an embedded product, okay, it's an example of your embedded product. Now when you are going to have the TV which is in the earlier stage, which was developed using the tubes, so after certain period, once the LCD time came, so the TV tubes are exhausted. Okay, this particular extinct. The TV tubes, TV which is made up of tubes, are got extinct. Okay, so it got extinct. So now, so after that one, what will happen? So when it is becoming extinct, so once other product, that is even the LCD came into the picture, so your almost the older version of the TV tubes got exhausted, and it sales dropped down. So this particular sales came down, right? So when this particular sales came down, what will happen? So obviously the share value will come down. The share value will come down. Obviously the revenue generated to be revenue generated will also be coming down. So now during this particular stage, I cannot sustain the other factors, sustain the other parameters. So like if I am not generating any profit, means what? I cannot pay salary for the employee. Okay, so I cannot pay the salary for the employee, or I cannot pay for my So I cannot pay for my advertisement. So you may be investing in so many things when you are making product of your when you are advertising your product, right? So these things I cannot afford it. Okay. So for these particular reasons, what will happen? So it will decline. Okay, that particular product sales will be declining, and that particular product will go to the product retirement stage. So that particular product is going to the product retirement stage. Okay, so there is a declining stage. So the product will go to the product retirement stage. So it is going to have the product will go to the product retirement stage. So now, once you have this one, so we can see that one. So here we need to going to have the product development stage. So it is in this particular phase, if we take with respect to the time and the revenue. Okay, so time and the revenue. So in the product revenue, it is design and development which you are going to have. So you're going to have the design and development in this particular phase, that is in the product development phase. So I don't have, I am going to invest, that's it here. Okay. So I'm going to invest the money.
Sir, it's not audible.
So it's audible now. It's audible, students. It's audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So now in the initial product development stage, what will happen? So here we don't have any investment. Okay, so we don't have any investment here. Okay, so you will having the investment, and we don't design and development phase in the product is nothing but what it is a design and development phase. So now once you have this one, next is the introduction phase. So in the introduction phase, what will happen? So I'm going to introduce that particular product into the market. So the product is introduced into the market. Product is introduced into market. So once the product is introduced in market, so I'm not going to get the profit. What I get first, before going for profit, what I need to get. So before making a profit, so before profit, what I need to get, I need to get first the investment, what I have been done for my development of that particular product. So I need to get the investment or my research, on my research, what I have been done to build that particular product that I need to have. So in the growth phase, what will happen? So in the growth phase, I am the only person who has been produced that product. So the product sales will be high. in this particular sales, the product sales which you're going to have, it will be high. So once the product sale is high, obviously what will happen? The profit will also go high. So obviously the profit will also go high, which you're going to have there. Okay, so next one it is the maturity phase. So when it comes to the maturity phase, what will happen? So some other competitor will come. Okay, so maturity means what? Your sales will be high. Sales is high. As the sales is high, your profit will also be high. So as the sales is high, your profit will also be high. So next, once in the product development stage, what will happen? Some advancement in that particular embedded product may exist. Advanced embedded product of that particular category. So as the example what I have given is TV, right? So initially the TV which you are going to have in terms of tubes. Okay. So later it came the thin which is of LCD. Later it came LCD. So now once the LCD came into the picture, initially the cost of this LCD is high. So what will happen? That people choose to turn to the low cost only, this one. So as and when the people get to know what the features of your LCD and compactness of the product came into existence, so they discarded this particular TV tubes. Okay, so during this particular time, what will happen? This TV tube go to retirement stage. So this is what is called as retirement stage. So when they are going to have the advanced product of the same category, when you people have the when we have when the market have the advanced embedded product, the market has the advanced embedded product of the same type, of the embedded product of same type, So now obviously it is going to have advanced feature. So I will go with the advanced feature only. So I will discard the whole feature which is there. So it's at that particular stage what will happen? So your product is going for the retirement stage. So these are the 5 different product life cycle which you are going to have. So anybody having any doubt with respect to the product life cycle? Anybody having any doubt with respect to the product life cycle?
No.
Okay. So now, when you once the product life cycle is done, so that is about your okay. So next is we are going to discuss with respect to the different types of embedded system. That is with respect to the embedded. That is with respect to the application domain embedded system. First one. So that is your application specific embedded system. Or we are going with the domain specific. So now when it comes to the application specific embedded system, so what are the applications, the product which we are going to develop for any specific applications? Like if you want to heat, okay. So what is the embedded system which you are going to use for heating purpose? Any answers from your side? For heating the, for example, heating the cooking items. Okay, so if you want to eat the cooking items, what you are going to use?
Oven, sir.
Yeah, oven. So oven is one application, right? Similarly, so if you want to use for application of washing, so you are going to make use of washing machine. Okay, so it is similar to the application which you are going to have. So you are going to have for the particular application. So when you are going to build any embedded system which is suitable for particular application, okay, so that way is going to have. So another type is when you are going to have some domain. Okay, so some domain you are going to have. So like if you want to have the for example if you want to so if you want to transfer the packet from one router, one place to another place, transfer the packet from one network to another network, so which is the embedded system you're going to make use of? Any answers? So when you are transferring the data from the organization to the outside world, what is the component which you want to use? Is your router. So when you talk about the router, which domain router belongs to? domain if we take, so that belongs to the domain. Okay, so that particular router belongs to the telecom domain. So similarly, you're going to have the domain. So you're going to have the car, right? So how the car is built and all. So this is one of the example for your automotive domain. Okay, so this is one of the example for your automotive domain. So in this particular chapter, we are going to discuss about your washing machine, which is referred for your application domain. Washing machine, which you are going to have. One is washing machine. So other, if you have with other domain specific embedded system, which you are going to design, which you are going to study is about automotive domain. So you can take the case study as your oven for heating. Okay. So for your application based. Okay. So then you can have for your router, how the router is built and what are the internal of routers will be there. Internal of router. What are the components it is going to have? That particular router is going to have. So that you should know. Okay, so these things you go through it once. So this I'm going to post it as an assignment for you. So this is about your case study. Okay, so these two are case study for you. So that is, so you have to write so that I will give as assignment only, so that you will be ready with that one. So how the router works or how the microwave oven works. Okay, that will be taken as an assignment for you. So next, when it comes to the application and domain specific. So as I told that, so these particular type of applications or application or domain specific, how they are being used, if we take the application and domain specific. So as the name indicates, it is built for some application. Okay. So this particular embedded system is built for certain application. So whereas if you take for domain specific, it is built for certain domain. So this I have told already. So what are the different domains and different, so it is the domain which they are going to build is like, so you're going to have the consumer electronics like O1. So consumer electronics is one, and telecom you are going to have, there is one domain which you are going to have. So then automotive industry which you are going to have, and then industrial control like machines you want to control. So then you are going to build some embedded system which has to control the machines and all. So those things will be coming under domain specific. Okay. Now, so here,
Then buses are there, or in buses?
if you take the washing machine based embedded system, so if you take the washing machine as a embedded system, okay, so if you take the washing machine as a one of the application specific embedded system which you are going to have, so basically what it contains, so basically this particular embedded system contains sensors, actuators, control unit, and application user interfaces. So that what are the application user interfaces which you are going to have, like what? So like it will be having the keyboard or display unit, it will be having. So now, once you have the component, some of the components are visible or some of the components are invisible. So inside your, if we take the washing machine, so the component which you are going to have, so washing machine will be having some components. Okay. So whatever the components you are going to have, some components will be visible component which you are going to have, and some component which you are going to have, it will be invisible component which you are going to have. So apart from that, it will be having the sensors to sense the flow of water and all. So and then the actuators it to take control of that one. So after the filling of the water, what action it has to take. So that will be that the tube which will be there inside the washing machine has to rotate. So depending upon the weight of the washing machine, how much rotation has to be done. So or depending upon the timing settings which you are going to have. So that much rotation, that much time that particular washing machine has to work. So that will be controlled by your control unit. So now if we take the actuator part, so the actuator part which you are going to have in your washing machine, or so it is going to have the motorized agitator, that is tumble tub. Okay, so the tumble tub is the material rotation. So you're going to have the that tub is going to rotate, right? So that part is called as tumble tub. Okay, I'm going to have. So next you are going to have the water drying pump. So the water drying pump depends upon the number of clothes which you are going to depends upon the number of clothes. So it depends upon the number of clothes which you are going to put. Okay, so now so in the talk the sensor part. So the sensor part consists of what? The sensor part consists of the temperature sensors and level sensors. So the temperature, the sensor part consists of so temperature sensor and level sensor, because when you are when you are inletting your water, okay, so inletting water, so what it has to do is, so it's normally um, fill in with hot water, fill in with hot water, because it has to rinse means it will be rinsing with hot water. So that particular temperature of the water it has to sense. Okay, that particular temperature sensor will be there to check the sensor temperature of the water, to check the temperature of water which are going to have. So the control part, what it contains, the control part contains the microprocessor. Okay, the control part contains the microprocessor or controller based board. Okay, so it is going to control, it contains the microprocessor or control based board. So either it should have, it can have the microprocessor or it can have the controller based. So if you are using a microprocessor will be itself will be controlling your sensors and actuators. So if you are using your control based board, so that will be controlling your sensors and actuators. Okay, so what are the different controllers you are going to use? Okay, so that you are going to have. So next, when it comes to the sensor, so the sensor data which you are going to have. So the sensor is going to sense that how much water has been built up. Okay, the sensor data which you are going to have. So it is this particular sensor data is going to tell you about the temperature and so it is going to tell you about the temperature and level of water, because after certain level the water has to stop, right? So why you require the level sensor? Level sensor is required to stop the water. To stop the water, I should use the level sensor. So once that particular level comes, the water flowing inside your washing machine has to stop. So simultaneously, the temperature is there inside your temperature sensor, which is there. So it should the water which will be there, it will be heated up. So after certain temperature of water, so it has to stop heating the water. Okay, it has to stop heating the water. So for that one, what will happen? The sensor data is fed back to what? The sensor data is fed back to the control unit. And the control unit, what it generates, so depending upon the sensor data feedback, that is the temperature and level water. So the actuator outputs starts. So once the level starts, when the levels water stops, when the level water is detected, so your water flow stops. Okay, the water flow stops. Once the water flow stops, what will happen? So your tub has to start rotating. So stub has to start its operation. Stub has to start its action. Okay, stub has started its action. So to have this particular action to be done, the control unit is also providing connectivity to its user interfaces. So if you're going to have the control unit also provides connectivity to user interfaces. What is the interfaces it is going to provide? So it is going to provide you the time. Okay, so keypad for setting the washing time, keypad for setting the washing time it is going to take. So what type of material you have used to wash, the cloth which you are going to use is like it may be a heavy, that is more clothes have been used, or whether you are going to have the medium weight of clothes you are going to have, or you are going to have the light. So, or if it will show you that whether that particular cotton is cotton or wool or polyester. So depending upon the different types of cloths, also you can select it. Okay, different. That is nothing but a control unit. Depending upon the type of the clothes which you are going to have. So the for that part time it will be washing your clothes. So that is going to be displaying that one. So that we are going to set depending upon the type of the clothes which you are going to have. So your user feedback is reflected through the display unit and LEDs. So this particular connected to the control board. So the user feedback is going to be displayed to the control unit or control board. So next, when it comes to the functional diagram, you can see it here. So you can see that the top port is your integrated panel with user interface. Okay, so it is an old washing machine. Okay, so now in the new washing machine mode, what will happen? So in the new washing machine, it is going to be placed in front of the washing machine only. So this particular user interface which you are going to have, uh, this particular part will be connected in the front of your washing machine only. So inside that one, you are going to have the inner tub. So level sensor is there. Level sensor is going to detect the water. Okay, so water pipe will be there. So water from the water pipe, you are going to inlet the water. So water starts filling up. Once the level sensor detects that the water is filled up to here, it will stop the tap. So the inlet will be closed at that time. So when the level detects is water, so it will close the inlet pipe. It will close the inlet pipe. So it will close the inlet pipe which you are going to have. So after that one, so outer tub is there. So inner tub is going to rotate now. So inner tub, whatever you are going to have, so that will make you to rotate. So then the temperature sensor is there. So the temperature sensor is going to check the temperature of the water. And the temperature sensor which you are going to have, so that will check the temperature sensor, check the temperature of the water. Okay, so that will check the temperature of the water which you are going to have. And after completion of the washing machine, so once once the washing is completed, once the washing is completed, what will happen? Once the washing is completed, so the water will be the water will be let out. So the water will be let out once the washing is been done. So apart from that, you already have. So your user interface which you are going to have. So the user interface will be having this one. So it is going to have the start button, whether it's going to have the stop button, for how much time it has to run, like whether it has to run for 30 minutes or whether it has to run for 1 hour or whether it has to run for 2 hours. So what type of what type of how much type of cloths you have input, whether it's a lightweight or whether it's a medium weight, whether it is a heavy weight. Okay, so next we are going to have what operation you have to perform. So that you have to wash the cloth you have to do, or you have to rinse the cloth you have to do. So that operation you can select it depending upon the type of the selection which you are going to make. Okay, so that operation will be performed by the washing machine. So that particular operation will become performed by this particular washing machine. Okay, so that is how your washing machine is going to work. So you can see that in top loading models, the agitator of washing is back and forth. So if we take the top model, so the agitator which is be fitted to the tub, so it will be rotated in the for back and forth and pulls the cloth down to the bottom of the tub. So on reaching the bottom of the tub, the clothes work their way back onto the top of the tub, where the agitator grabs them again and repeats the mechanism. So that means what? So if we take the top loading machine, so it is, if it is a top loading, so the cloth will be running from here to down. Okay, like twisting. So from back and forth twisting, and the cloth will be going to the bottom of the tub. Okay, so now again after coming to the bottom of the tub, what will happen? So the cloth has to be uh, moved back to the top. Okay, once again, because whatever the cloths which are there at the top has to come to the bottom. So top to bottom, and again from bottom to top it will work. So first from bottom to first it will be working from top to bottom, and from second it will be from bottom to top it is going to have. But it is going not the same case how it is going to work in your front load washing machine. So if you take in the front load washing machine, so it is going to be turned and plunged into the water over and again. So this is with the first phase. That means you are going to, like if you have the, so simultaneously you are going to tumble it and plunge it into the water over and again. So like this, okay, it will do. So class will be there. So it will be tumbled and plunged into water again. So this is what the first phase. This will be the first phase in your front load. Okay. So the working operation of your washing machine with respect to the top load and front load are different. Okay. The working operation of your washing machine with respect to the top load and the front load is totally different. So now next, once you have done this one, so in the second phase of washing, what will happen? So water is pumped out of the tub, and the inner tube uses centrifugal force to wring out more water from the cloth. So it is going to make use of centrifugal force. So it will uh, rotate at high speed. Okay, so it is going to spin at high speed. So when it is spinning at high speed, what will happen? So whatever the water is going to be there, so it will be removed from the cloth. Okay, whatever the water is there in the cloth, so that will be removed from the water. So that particular spinning, that is whatever the centrifugal force you are going to apply, so that particular spinning is called a spin phase. So that particular phase is referred to as the spin phase, which you are going to have. So that is how the rotation is going to take place. So if you take the general principle of working of the washing machine, so the basic control units consist of what? So it's going to consist of the first timer will be there for how much time you are going to set for your washing machine to work. Second, you should have the cycle selector mechanism, what type of cycle you are going to have, and you should have the water temperature, that is how much temperature the water should be there. So then the load size selector, that is whether it's a heavy, whether it's a light, medium, or heavy. So then you're going to have the start button as I have shown in the first figure, okay, previous figure. So then the other mechanisms which it is including is it will have the motor. It's going to mechanism include motor, transmission will be there, clutch will be there, pump will be there, agitator will be there. So next thing you are going to have the inner tub will be there. So your outer tub is going to use to draw the water outside the from the inside to the outside of the washing machine, and you are going to have the water inlet pump from where you are going to from where the water will be inserted inside. Okay, so it is made. So it will be having the integrated control panel. Okay, integrated control panel will be there, which will be consisting of a microprocessor or controller board with I/O interfaces and control algorithm to running on it. So whatever the integrated control panel you are going to have, so it's going to have the control panel, you are going to have the microprocessor. So or it is going to have the control based, which is going to have. So your microprocessor, if you take a microcontroller, it will be having the control algorithm. So that means for it will be selecting that for lightweight cloths, how much time it has to run, for medium weight cloth, how much time it has to run, for heavyweight cloths, how much time it has to run, and how much water has to be drawn for that particular type of cloth. All things will be taken care by your control algorithm. Okay, so this is for the typical working of your application specific embedded system. Okay, so this is what the typical application of application specific embedded system. Okay, so the input interface includes the keyboard, which consists of wash type selector. It will wash, rinse, spin, and rinse. So cloth selector will be there, light, medium, or heavy. So like I told previously. So the output interface consists of LED or LCD displays. Status indicator will be there. Whether it will be completed in 5 minutes or 2 minutes, or whether it's going, how much time it is going to have. It's in the beginning stage or the end stage. So that it may also contain the other type of I/O interfaces, which is invisible to the end user, like different sensor interfaces which are going to have, like if you are going to have the water temperature sensor, water level sensors. So and then actuators interface, which is going to have, which will be included is the motor control for your agitator and tub movement control. Okay, so see, these are some of the parts which you are going to have. Okay, these are some of the parts which you are going to have in your washing machine. So your washing machine will come under application specific embedded system. Application specific embedded system. Okay, so anybody having any doubt with respect to this one? So anybody having any doubt with respect to embedded system application specific? So you make a case study that, so when it comes to the application specific, you just look into that, how your heating mechanism is going to happen. So in your water sensors in your microwave oven. Okay, so that you take it as assignment. So anybody having any doubt? So anybody having any doubt can ask. Anybody having any doubt? Kirtana?